Hello there, and welcome back to André Plays the Unreal Beta. Dots conversion. Let's just get away from this noisy teleporter room. So, where I last left off, we had finished Skytown, and we're about to head to the next map, FHub4. Now, it's interesting. You see, the original design was to have, like in some of the original design plans, the idea was to have you get a sky elevator back down to the surface of Napali. But for whatever reason, they scrapped that idea and they decided just to put a teleporter here instead. Maybe they were planning on having some other way of getting down, maybe they had some other plan, but it didn't pan out. They were just like, let's just put a teleporter, and in the final release version we also have a teleporter here. Now, in the final release version, we get a teleporter from Skytown to a map called Velora Pass. Velora Pass we will eventually get to that map. However, in the beta, however, that will be in another like dozen maps time, maybe like another 12 maps or so we'll get to Velora Pass. But for the time being, we have a whole huge chunk of the game which we're about to explore that is completely cut from the final version of Unreal. A good maybe 40% of the content in between Skytown and Velora Pass, which was completely cut from the final release version of Unreal, which we are about to play. So this is where the interesting part of the beta is. We get to explore all of these cut maps and get to really play through all of these cut, all the stuff that has, for instance, one of the things that the cut maps have, they use a particular texture pack called Crypt Textures. So like every texture pack has, like in Unreal there are certain textures that are used and they come in these little files. And one file is called Crypt, and it contains a bunch of sort of template crypt-like textures. And the release version of Unreal completely does not use this texture pack at all. I don't think it's even included in the game. But the beta does include this texture pack. And so we get to see all sorts of textures made using the Crypt texture that we don't get to see in the release version of Unreal. So, here we're about to go down to this teleporter, down to FHub4. So let's do so. So here we are in FHub4. You'll notice that the file name is actually Spire Valley. If I go game load, you see it calls it Spire Valley. The reason for this is that, so let me explain. Some of the beta maps so I mentioned that we're about to enter this patch of the game, this like big chunk of the game, we're about to play a bunch of maps that did not make the final version. Well, some of these maps, but not all of them, were eventually remade and given a facelift and included in the expansion pack for Unreal, Return to Napali. So Return to Napali has some of the beta maps in it, but like they look very different. They're in a completely different context. They totally remade and redesigned. They look very, very different. However, it does include some of those maps. Return to Napali does include some of those maps, some of these original beta maps in a new form. Now this map, FHub4, when it got remade and put into Return to Napali, it got eventually called Spire Valley, and it was given like a new look, it was given a new layout. I mean, the layout is more or less the same, but it was given, the player spawns in a very different part of the map, and the features of the map are very different, but the overall geometry of the map is more or less the same. Now, I guess when Dots made the conversion of the Unreal Beta to make it playable in Unreal, he must have gotten this FHub4 map and thought, oh, this doesn't have a title. I know what, I'll call it Spire Valley, since it's a map that eventually became Spire Valley. So that's why, when we spawn in this map, the title of this map is given as Spire Valley, but this is just something that Dots added later. This isn't something as part of the original FHub4. So let's look around. Where are we? Oh, fall in the water. We see a mercenary ship. That symbol there is a symbol of the mercenaries. So we see this is a mercenary ship that has crashed in the water. Oh, I did not mean to fall down from there. Is there a way back up? There's a way back up. There's some squid here. Squid in the water. I could kill them all, but I guess if I don't bother them, they won't bother me, eh? So yeah, it's interesting actually. Different versions of... Let me just get the items first. Different versions of FHub4 actually have different starting points. So in this version, we spawned here, outside this big white temple with blue pillars and a red door. But in some other versions of FHub4, you actually spawn on the other whole side of the map. So I don't know whether they intended there to be like, whether they changed their mind about where you'd start, like midway through making this map or something, but it's an interesting little feature that I guess, you know, where you start in this map kind of depends on which version of the map you're playing. So yeah, in this version, in Dotskin version, we start here at this white temple. In some other versions, we start right on the other side. And in fact, when this map got eventually turned into Spire Valley, you also start right on the other side. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. So, what is this temple? Is this meant to be the place we came from, or is this meant to be a place we're going to? Well, nobody actually knows, because this temple is included in this map, but it doesn't actually lead anywhere. There's nothing behind this door. This door is here, but behind here there's just absolutely nothing here. There's no clue as to what this originally was meant to be, whether this was meant to be the place you come from or a place you're going to. There are some people believe that it may have originally been the Temple of Asarak, a Nadi fire god temple. It's a fire god temple. That remember how in the release version of Chisra, there is that special room. Sorry, not Chisra. Sorry, the release version of Ceremonial Chambers, the second half of Chisra. There is that room with the 8-ball, there was the lava on the floor, and I mentioned in my playthrough that this room was actually taken from a beta map. Then this room was originally taken from Asarak. So Asarak was originally a fire lava temple, and so it would make sense that there'd be a room with an 8-ball over like a lava pit. And this room was taken from Asarak and put into Ceremony. But it's a bit out of place in Ceremony, because Ceremony is all like water and like plants, and like it's very sort of watery, natural water god temple, and it has this lava room. So I've always thought it's a bit out of place, and that explains why, because it originally was taken from a different map. But the only thing we have of Asarak is I think some screenshots, so we don't know much about what the map was originally like. We just see it in these screenshots. So yeah, and it originally had that room, and I believe this door here was originally connected. This temple here, this was originally meant to be the entrance to the Temple of Asarak. However, before this beta was even made, I guess Asarak was cut, because Asarak is not included in this beta at all. So it looks like Asarak did exist at some point, but it was cut before even this beta was made. So I guess no one really knows what happened to it, or you know, if this connects to Asarak at all. But it looks pretty nice. It's all red and blue. So now, it's interesting. This map actually has some mercenary ships in it. Now, in the actual release version of Unreal, the only mercenary ship we ever see is the Tyrannox. But this but here we find a crashed mercenary ship, so we can swim around it. This is the mercenary logo that I mentioned. We hear noises coming from it. Yeah, crashed mercenary ship. It looks the sort of the outer hull, the outer like design of the texture, like the texture on the outside of the ship, kind of looks a bit like the Tyrannox, I guess. Now I don't have a scuba gear, so I don't know how long I can hold my breath, but you can actually swim into the ship, and in the interior is actually quite detailed. So if we just swim here. this ship doesn't lead anywhere. There's nothing in it. In fact, this whole map is quite unfinished. There are many things in this map which sort of don't really lead anywhere or don't really do anything. And it makes you wonder, you know... Oh shit, I'm getting stuck. I need to get up and get my breath. So yeah, this whole map is quite unfinished. And it makes you wonder if there are ideas for more things they're meant to put in here, or more places things are meant to connect to, but they didn't actually do it. So here we have a panel. This whole ship is like on its side, you know? And now I'm starting to drown. Little rooms. So yeah, it's quite a detailed ship. It's got, what is this? Another room, another sort of, I don't know what this is, like a little panel thing. These beamy textures. It's weird swimming on my side like this. Like I feel like I'm, I don't know, like I need to turn my head. So yeah, that's this little mercenary ship here. I'm just going to go back to my previous save because I've lost a lot of health exploring this without a scuba gear. So yeah, like I said, this map is rather, it's very lifeless. It's very sort of barren. It has a desert theme, like as you can see on this ground is like very sort of like rocky and sandy and lifeless. We haven't, and when we get to the crypt textures, I'll show you the crypt textures, because, yeah, they're pretty cool. At least there's some squid and fish in the water, although I think in some other versions of FHub4, there aren't any creatures in the water, so these fish and squid, I guess, are a rather late addition to the map. But yeah, it is very sort of big and empty. You feel like you're just, you know, in the middle of this big empty area. Oh, there's a lot of sea creatures down there. I can't be bothered to kill them all. What's this? Is this a bird? Huh. Weird. He was like stuck. So, I mentioned this map is called FHub4, so you might be wondering, is it actually a hub map? And the answer is yes, it is a hub map, in the sense that there's more than one map leading on from this. There are two maps leading on from this map. There's Soledad and Morose. Over here, which we're about to get to, is the entrance to Morose. However, for the time being, it's locked. So, you can see a Titan over here. Oh, also big volcano. We're actually pretty close to it. Yeah, behind the Titan here is the entrance to Morose, but we can't actually access it yet. Titan is dead. So yeah, here is the entrance to Morose. There's some lava, little lava pits with these big columns. And this door is locked. There is no way in here. So when we come back to this map after we do Soledad, we'll kill the Titan again, and that will cause an earthquake, and this pillar will fall down, and this pillar will fall down and crash open the door, and then we can get inside Morose. But for the time being, Morose is locked. So we see the entrance here. We can't get to it. We just have these two pillars. For those of you who played Return to Napali, this should seem kind of familiar, because like I said, this map is based, as I said, Spire Valley is based on this map. And a lot of this map, you'll be like, how the hell is this Spire Valley? It looks nothing like Spire Valley, but this part, going up to this door here, with these pillars and this door over here, this is very much, you'll be like, oh, this part of Spire Valley, I know what you're talking about. But yeah, these are the crypt textures. You see this door here uses crypt textures, and that little symbol there is from the crypt texture pack. So yeah, and these, it's interesting, you see this writing on this, like, this, if you look here on this texture, it's almost like a writing, like a language. You see little symbols across it. If you actually see the Unreal menu, it's very dark, but you can actually see it has the same sort of symbols in the Unreal menu. Maybe I have to get somewhere. If you look carefully, you can sort of see the same sort of symbols in the Unreal menu. Like the same symbols are in the menu. I don't know whether you can see it, it's just really dark. But yeah, and that is one of the symbols, that one up there. So this is all part of the crypt texture pack. So they had this whole idea for this texture pack with its own symbols and its own thing, and they never included it in Unreal, in the release version. The only hint we get of it is when you click menu and you can see the textures along in the menu. But other than that, you know, the whole thing was cut from Unreal. But yeah, the Morose entrance is blocked. We will get back to that later. Another big mercenary ship here, and two mercenaries over here. Let's kill them. There we go. But yeah, this is more signs how deserted the map is and how much it's like unfinished. Like, look at this map. It's just this big empty canyon with this big giant mercenary ship in it. No way to get into the ship. Nothing to do with the ship. Like there's nothing for us as a player to actually do besides just walk around and admire the giant ship. You know, clearly they had planned something. Clearly this was meant to be something you could explore, some ship you could go into or something. But not just an unfinished idea. That's where we came from. We can also go this way, but this just takes us back around to where we were. See, this is where we were. This is where we climbed up onto the land. That is where we started down there. That's that merc ship in the water. You see? Interesting fact, if we swim in the water here, we see, oh, let me just kill these squid. we see this little pipe. This is actually the exit from Soledad. So when we finish Soledad, we will appear on the other side of this pipe. And we will, so we're coming from like inside here. So this is the entrance to Soledad over there. So we climb into there, go to Soledad. Then we do all of Soledad, and then out of Soledad, we exit from this pipe. So we'll exit from this pipe and come back out into here to then go to Morose next map. After this map, we go to Soledad, then after that we come back to this map because it's a hub map, and then come out of that pipe, and then after that we go to Morose. So yeah, this is the other starting point, as in some versions of the beta, I think you start down here rather than starting up there. So you start on this side up here. I don't know why they changed it, but you start in here. You can climb up here, and you see some Nari. Hello, Nari. But yeah, nothing really in this water other than squid and fish. Some biter fish, some squid. Interesting fact, if we swim down here, you'll notice this. This is where in Spire Valley, you start in this corner here. So you'll notice the swim from here out. If I turn around and swim here out, this looks like the beginning of Spire Valley. You see it? You see it now? Yeah. That's the land that you can go on, and the river continues up that way in Spire Valley. But there's also, in Spire Valley, there's like other features as well. It's like a tower in the water. There's all other stuff because it's loosely based on this map. The guy who made it got this map and like basically gave it an entire huge makeover and like redesigned the whole thing to make it into Spire Valley. But yeah. So aside from this being, I guess, where you're meant to spawn, there's nothing really here. There's just a building, not a building, it's like it's not really a building, just like an opening that you can enter, some torches, you can climb it, some gnarly, but like what actually is there in here? You know, like I said, this map, it has a real unfinished feel. I guess because it is unfinished. Lastly, we can go here. Now this is the entrance to Soledad. I'm gonna just give it another save. You can sort of see the tentacles through the floor. There's this is from crypt. This is another crypt texture. Oh, the floor just. I wanted to do that a bit later. I'll show you. Basically, there's a texture from crypt over there, and over here, some sort of ancient Nadi writing. More crypt textures. This big 7-pointed star is a lot of the crypt textures include a 7-pointed star. That's a big theme of the crypt textures. But it looks like we're at a dead end. But are we? If we step here, we see that the ground breaks beneath us. Time in here. We are in this purplish liquid. It looks toxic, but it's not. There's a question about what it's meant to actually be, and one of the alternative names of Soledad. Soledad is the name of the file, but one of the titles of it. And so, like I mentioned, Unreal Maps have a file name and a title. Now, the file name is Soledad. And the title in this beta is called Soledad Temple. But in some other versions of the beta, the file name is called the Spawning Pools of Dross. And that would seem to indicate that what you're in, this purple liquid, are spawning pools. You know, there's some theory that this is actually where the pupae are meant to come from. That pupae, like the scar, lay their pupae eggs, or the queen, I guess, lays the pupae eggs in this purple liquid, and from the purple liquid, the pupae hatch, and this is like their spawning pools. This is how the pupae are grown. So this is one theory about what this purple liquid is. And I guess in the release version, they cut this whole idea. They eventually made the pupae spawn in the queen's mothership. You know, they didn't have any of this purple liquid at all. But this was one of the sort of the cut beta ideas. These would be spawning pools for the scar to spawn their young in. But we can swim in this purple liquid. It's not toxic. It's just water. And now we are in Soledad. So yeah. Thank you for watching, and as you notice, the music is actually different. This is the first time in the beta that we're hearing new music from that wasn't included in the release version of Unreal. So yes, here we are in Soledad, and I will see you next time for Soledad. Okay, thank you. Bye.